Hello, everybody. Welcome back to a video. So, first time in a long time I've made a video. We're going to go over the best picks in each round at running back and wide receiver. We are going to be using the sleeper rankings. So, I just think that sleeper most accurate rankings. It kind of gives us the true rankings from every single site that you draft from, just to get you ready for drafts this weekend. Most drafts are going to be this weekend because this is the last weekend before the weekend of football. Uh, so it's starting to become a pretty exciting time for a lot of people. So let's go to the rankings real quick, and I will pop up the screen. I'll just go right into a mock draft and kind of pull everything up here. Okay. So this is going to be based on 12-team leagues. So round one is picks 1 through 12. Round 2 is picks 13 through 24, and then so on and so forth. So if you're in a 10-team league, this could also kind of work for you. But if you're in like an 8-team league or a 6-team league or a 4-team league, it's just not going to work. I don't know why people even do that unless they just don't have enough people and they just want to be able to play in drafts, play fantasy. So let's get into the topic of the video, and I do want to go over a quick analysis of what's going to happen on Thursday with the Cowboys in Tampa Bay. I saw something because I follow JPA football on Instagram, and he said that the game was on Friday, but I really thought it was Thursday. Yeah, it's Thursday. Yeah, I don't know why he said Friday. So okay, let's bring up the screen here. Oh, I just disabled my camera. What am I doing? There we go. Yeah, Cowboys versus Buccaneers game on Thursday. Rather be at the bottom corner there. There we go. Oh no. Okay, there we go. So my best pick at running back in the first round. Obviously, if you're at the beginning, you'd like to get a Christian McCaffrey. Obviously, that's not going to happen. I think the best pick at the front of the draft is going to be Alvin Kamara. I feel like he's a guy that can drop to the fifth spot or the fourth or fifth spot, and you have the potential to maybe get the RB2 in the entire NFL for fantasy. So to get him at one of those spots, I think it's pretty much a steal. If I had to decide between Zeke and Kamara, but I've drafted Kamara so much that I had to take Zeke in one of my leagues. That's how it's interesting. That's why you should always diversify, but I don't know if I should have went Kamara or not uh, in that situation because Alvin Kamara, he does not get injured. He does not. But that could also be bad because this could be his due injury year. I'm still betting a lot on Kamara, so he's going to be my best running back pick in the first round. I think Aaron Jones was a very close second for me. To get him at the end of the first round, a guy with RB1 overall potential, in my opinion, even though he's still got top 5 running back potential. If you could get a top 5 running back at pick 12, I'd say that's pretty darn good. I don't like Derrick Henry. I really shouldn't be going over picks I don't like. I don't like Derrick Henry as high as he is in drafts. I like running backs that can catch the ball, and adding Julio, it's going to take off a little bit of a load. I think Derrick Henry is going to slow down just a little bit. I don't think he's going to slow down a whole lot. I still think he's got a couple years left in him, but pinnacle year 2000 coming off a 2,000-yard performance. Don't know if that's going to happen again. At wide receiver, obviously it's Devontae Adams for me. I mean, he's the only guy I'd draft in the first round, really. I mean, if a guy like, if the best running back on the board by the time I pick is like Nick Chubb, I'm taking Devontae Adams. So Devontae Adams, he's guaranteed to catch like more than 10. He's going to catch double digit touchdowns. He's going to probably just go for about 1,300 yards. He's a monster, man. Second round. Second round running back. I mean, I don't know if you'd count Austin Eckler. I'm if Austin Eckler was, in the second round, but Najee Harris is the guy I'm looking for in the second round in most leagues. He's just I love picking him in mock drafts. I mean, to me, in the second round, he's a steal. And I know as a rookie, that's kind of high expectations, but I mean, he's going to get the workload. He's going to get a lot of carries. And really, I mean, Big Ben's getting older. I mean, that arm is getting weaker. I know it's still a very strong arm, but sometimes you just got to give Big Ben a breather. I mean, I think Mike Tomlin knows that he's got to diversify his offense, and that's why they drafted Najee Harris. They're going to give him the ball a lot, and I think he's going to be a stud. Now in college, I mean, he's going to get a ton of goal line work as well. I mean, you saw what he did in college, and really, there's no competition there. I mean, Benny Snell, Anthony McFarland, they have done nothing in the league. So that's my pick at RB in the second round. I think he's an absolute steal. He is top 5 running back potential. At wide receiver, my favorite pick, it's between Calvin Ridley and DK Metcalf. I would probably lean towards DK Metcalf just because of the better quarterback, obviously. Matt Ryan's still very good, but obviously we know that Russell Wilson's a top 5 QB in the league. And DK Metcalf's potential is just ridiculous. His upside in PPR, his upside is okay. It's okay. He's not. The thing is this is why I love DK Metcalf so much, is because he's so efficient with his receptions that you're gonna love him in standard. In PPR, he's okay, but man, he is just so efficient with his receptions, and it's going to be a more up-tempo offense, which means that they're going to be passing the ball more. So to get DK Metcalf in the second round with how efficient he was with his catches with Russell Wilson in that offense, I think he's going to be, the sky's the limit for him. So that's my pick for the second round is DK Metcalf, which he's a wide receiver 5 in standard leagues, wide receiver 7 in PPR leagues. So now we go on to the third round. Running backs is where kind of running backs go to die. I would not consider Josh Jacobs. I think this is like the earliest kind of thing I disagree with in terms of sleepers rankings is having Josh Jacobs in the third round. I wouldn't have Josh Jacobs. This is kind of where the running backs kind of dry up here. So starting at, I would say David Montgomery. David Montgomery is probably my running back pick in the third round. I mean, it's between him and Chris Carson, really. I don't even know if I like James Robinson this year. I mean, I just really don't think... I really think that the Jaguars want to throw the ball a lot. I really do. And, with Carlos Hyde also being there, I can see Carlos Hyde taking a lot of carries away from James Robinson. I don't think that's a question, really. So, but David Montgomery, he's going to get a lot of carries. I know Damian Williams is there, but Tariq Cohen, who knows how long he's going to be out. And, the only other guy besides Damian Williams is Khalil Herbert, I think. So they're going to try and run the ball a lot. Matt Nagy's not going to trust Andy Dalton. They're going to have to run the ball a lot. And David Montgomery down the stretch was the RB1 overall in fantasy, he was absolutely dominating those weak defenses down the line. And here's why the argument against David Montgomery is so screwed up with how, oh, we faced bad defenses, blah blah blah. That offense was already bad for the Bears, and David Montgomery kind of took it upon himself to kind of rise the offense out of the ashes like a phoenix. You know what I mean? Like, he was the cog in that machine of an offense. Whether you want to call it a machine, it was kind of a mess, even. But David Montgomery, that Bears offense ran through him, and it worked. Once they finally decided to run it through him, it worked so much better than it did the first 3 quarters of the season. So to get David Montgomery in the third round, he was a RB1 down like the last 7 games or so. To get him in the third round, I think is ridiculous. And you could argue, if you're going to argue against David Montgomery, you better argue against Jonathan Taylor, because down the stretch, Jonathan Taylor also dominated bad defenses, and nobody's talking about that. Nobody is, and that's why Jonathan Taylor is all the way up, hovering in the first round, because he did well against bad defenses. Nobody should be able to put that against anybody, in my opinion. If the guy can play, the guy can play. That's how I see it. So now at wide receiver, I'm going to go with Keenan Allen here. I don't think this is even a question for me. Obviously, I like guys like Terry McLaurin, Allen Robinson. I think it's really close, actually, between Allen Robinson and Keenan Allen, but Keenan Allen just has higher upside because Justin Herbert is his quarterback. He's got higher touchdown. I think his touchdowns will go up a bit just because Justin Herbert's going to be there for 2 more games, because you can't forget that there will be a 17th game. So I think based on that alone, Keenan Allen is going to be a stud. He's going to get more touchdowns. Going to get the same amount of targets. I don't see anybody. I mean, Josh Palmer, who they drafted in the 3rd round, I believe, he's going to be all right. Mike Williams, he's had injury issues. I'm not worried about that. So Keenan Allen's there to eat. Hunter Henry's gone. It's the Keenan Allen show in Los Angeles. So I'm definitely on board with Keenan Allen in the 3rd round. All right. So the running backs in the 4th round, you have Miles Sanders, you have Darrell Henderson. Not a lot. Definitely not a lot. You got Miles Sanders, Darrell Henderson. I don't even remember I think it ends at 50. Am I right about that? I don't know. I might be completely wrong about that, but let's see. I don't know. We're just going to estimate here. I think it ends at 50, but yeah, I guess my favorite wide receiver in this round, I mean, if I really had to pick and choose, it's probably going to be Darrell Henderson. I mean, Miles Sanders is going to be in a committee. I mean, he was good for a year, the year that Carson Wentz's like last good year, which was about 2 years ago. Miles Sanders played to a level of a 2nd round pick in fantasy. And then he kind of, injuries derailed him. And then they decided to add Kerryon Johnson, even though he's gone from the Eagles roster. They tried to add more running backs, and they drafted Kenny Gainwell in the 4th, who looks like he's going to be very good. So again, I don't think Miles Sanders is going to be having a major role in this offense. I don't think he's going to be the lead back. I think they look at him as just a receiving back, a very good receiving back, but that's all I see. I don't see a workhorse out of him. I don't see anything like that. And he was a very good receiving back in 2019, I believe, where he, I think he had like 800 receiving yards or something like that. That was insane. But yeah, that's why I like Darrell Henderson a lot more. I mean, Darrell Henderson's more likely to get a workhorse role because, I mean, even though they traded for Sony Michel, that definitely docked him a little bit for me. But he still got a strong flex option. You can get, you can count on him maybe getting, 12 points per game, something like that. Uh, he's gonna apparently Sean McVay says he's gonna have a big role. Whether that's smoke or not, we'll see. Yeah, I mean that's it. I mean, there's nothing else to say. We're approaching the fourth round here, so yeah. And then the fourth round receiver that I want to take here, and I can't believe he's still rated this low. It's CeeDee Lamb for me. I mean, this guy has so much upside. I mean, I'm going to talk him a little bit later, but he is going to have such strong upside. He's just going to be so efficient with his carries, a run after the catch. I mean, his carries, his receptions. He run after the catch. He's recovering from COVID, as it says here. It's only going to be day to day, that sort of thing. He's going to be ready for this week, and I can't wait to see him play. But he put up very good numbers with Dak not even being his quarterback. The quarterback was so wishy-washy last year. And now that Dak's coming back in, his upside is going to be insane. And this is actually the week that we'll find out, and I'll talk about this more later, as I said. We're going to find out if CeeDee Lamb takes over as a number one. Because if he doesn't take over as a number one this season, then I don't think he ever will. Because Amari Cooper's there for, three more years on that $100 million contract that they gave him. So yeah, CeeDee Lamb is one of my favorite picks in the draft. Really, to get him in the fourth round, the sky is the limit for that kid. So 51 through 62, I think, is what it is. If not, it's roughly what it is. That's roughly what it is. So, for our running backs, we've got Kareem Hunt. That's all right. Myles Gaskin. I do not want Myles Gaskin in any of my lineups. Javonte Williams. Those are the three running backs here. For me, it's Kareem Hunt. I know that he's a backup, but he's not really a backup, guys. I mean, of course, Nick Chubb is ahead of him. We aren't even sure if he's going to get that much of a workload. This and that. Look, this Browns offense is so efficient. And I'm saying efficient a lot because I love my players being efficient. Sure, maybe Kareem Hunt, he could be kind of annoying, but I think he's the best flex option in fantasy leagues right now. And he was the RB10 last year, despite, Nick Chubb playing a lot of those games. He was the RB10. And you could argue, even if Nick Chubb is healthy, which he looks to be, he is better with Nick Chubb than he was without Nick Chubb. So I like Kareem Hunt. Now, is he a guy that I feel strongly about? Absolutely not. I think he is an absolute wild card in fantasy matchups. But if you hit on him, he will hit. Like it will be a home run type of pick because you're getting a guy in the fifth round of his caliber of talent. You can't deny the talent. You can't deny it. So, I mean, this Browns team is so efficient in the run game. They're going to continue to run the ball a lot because they know that's what's won them so many games last year. So, Kareem Hunt is my running back pick, and I don't think Myles Gaskin or Javonte Williams are even close to his caliber. I mean, Javonte Williams, he's got upside. If he comes in just in time for the playoffs to be the starter over Melvin Gordon, he hasn't really showed that he is a starter just yet. And I'm a Javonte Williams guy. I was a Javonte Williams guy coming into the draft season. I'm a North Carolina guy, but he hasn't proved to be the starter over Melvin Gordon. So until I see that he can prove to be the starter, I just don't know if I'm going to take him. I just don't know. Now, wide receiver in the the fifth round. It's between Brandon Ayuk and Deontay Johnson. I really like Brandon Ayuk a lot. I think to get him, and I've been able to get him in the sixth round even, a wide receiver, Brandon Ayuk's potential and upside in the fifth or sixth round is absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, I'm going to go Brandon Ayuk. I wouldn't be, for people to pick Deontay Johnson, I would not argue with that. He has potential to be a pretty good wide receiver too, and he's going to get a lot of receptions. His target share is going to be ridiculous. He is the best wide receiver in that Steelers offense. Now, what remains to be seen is whether Big Ben still has it and if the offensive line is going to hold up. We'll find out. Now, Brandon Ayuk, though, I mean, this guy is fast. His tangibles are insane. He's athletic. He showed a lot of upside last season. And with, if Trey Lance comes in, that just unlocks this whole offense for the Niners. So it's not really, this pick really isn't based on what I've seen, but it's based on what I know he could do this upcoming season, which could really burn some people. But I'm willing to take the risk because he is a guy that you can get in the sixth round. And he's got such high upside. He has wide receiver 2 potential in the sixth round. So I'll take that. Now we go on to the sixth round. I'm not going to spend too much time on the sixth round type of guys. So I would say, I don't even think Mike Davis really falls into the sixth round. He could. He definitely could. I mean, look, he was an RB18 last year in standard leagues. I think Mike Davis is probably one of my favorite picks. But it's Gus Edwards, man. I mean, the fact that you could still get Gus Edwards at 68 overall is just insane to me. He was an RB28. He was a high tier RB3 with J.K. Dobbins and with Lamar Jackson. Now that J.K. Dobbins is out, expect a bigger workload for Gus Edwards. And he's only 26. He's only been in the league for 3 years. He is going to get a big workload. And I was actually marketing for people to grab Gus Edwards late in their drafts in the 10th or 11th rounds, maybe even as high as the 8th or 9th rounds. I didn't even remember where he was. He was kind of moving around at those bottom rounds. But because you knew he was going to get carries in this efficient running offense. So it was kind of a no-brainer for me to pick a guy like that in the back of the... And now Gus Edwards, who people who drafted early and got Gus Edwards, people are grinning ear to ear right now. So, yeah, I love Gus Edwards. I think he's going to be a very good for fantasy this year. He's going to be very efficient with his carries. I think he had like 5 yards per carry last year. So, yeah, I mean, that Ravens offense, I'm buying every part of it in the run game. So, I'm even picking Lamar Jackson in the fourth or fifth rounds. I like Lamar Jackson that much. Now, if Kyler Murray's there, I'm going to pick Kyler Murray because you guys know Kyler Murray's my QB1, which is why I don't understand why people would take Patrick Mahomes in the third or even late second when you could get a guy like Kyler Murray in the fourth, fifth, a Dak Prescott in the fifth. I don't really understand why people want to take Patrick Mahomes 2 rounds earlier than the next best quarterback. Not smart whatsoever. But we're getting onto a tangent here. I don't even know what I'm saying. Raheem Mostert was a guy that I also liked. Now, receivers. like Jerry Jeudy this year. I do Chase Claypool. I mean, they both got second-year receivers, high upside. I would lead more towards Jeudy, but it's really close. I just really don't know what Courtland Sutton is going to look like uh, this year. I mean, he's coming off an ACL, so that's definitely risky business there. I do have Courtland Sutton in some of my leagues. I think only one of them actually. So that's why I'm kind of holding out on Jerry Jeudy, but I still think Jerry Jeudy could be that guy. I still think he could be the wide receiver one in Denver. Then there's Courtland Sutton. And then we go to some of these other rounds. I love Robbie Anderson. To get him where he's going is just insane to me. You can get him as your wide receiver 3. You can get a 1,000-yard receiver as your wide receiver 3, even in PPR. I mean, in PPR, he's going to be a gem. Now, standard, maybe not as much because he only had 3 touchdowns last year, but you hope that can change with Sam Darnold, and him and Sam Darnold have had a connection in New York, so wouldn't be surprised if he moved up. I love Trey Sermon as well. I mean, Trey Sermon, he has high upside. I'm just buying into this whole Niners offense. I'm drafting Trey Lance. I'm drafting Trey Sermon. I'm drafting Raheem Mostert. I'm drafting Brandon Ayuk. The only person I'm not really drafting is George Kittle because he's kind of he's almost around the same ADP as Darren Waller in most leagues. Maybe 8 or so picks back. But if you could get if Darren Waller and George Kittle are there at the end of the second, beginning or mid third, I'm taking Darren Waller 100% of the time over George Kittle, which is why I probably don't pick George Kittle, but also because of the injury concerns and whether or not he will get the same amount of work as he usually did when he isn't injured. But yeah, that's kind of how I feel about the Niners offense. I love it this year. And that's about it. I mean, Damien Harris is a guy I have in a few of my leagues. This guy is a beast. I mean, he's going to be the RB1 there, and it could be a committee. It's a Patriots. It definitely could be a committee, but with Cam Newton released, he's going to get a lot of the goal line touches. And yes. Oh, Drake, what about Ramondre Stevenson? What about him? He played against third stringers in the preseason. The NFL during the regular season is a whole different animal. As Jay Cutler said, defenses run more vanilla than anything. They want to throw so many teams off when it comes to, film study. When teams want to see that, they're running these types of defenses, they want them to see that. They want them to see, oh, they're running this basic defense. We could beat this. And then they throw something completely different at them when it comes game time. So when you look at Ramondre Stevenson, he's not going to be much of a factor, I don't think. I do believe in the talent of Ramondre Stevenson, but because they played him so much in the preseason, I don't think they believe he is a part of their rotation just yet. He could become a part of their rotation eventually because Ramondre Stevenson definitely was the best running back in preseason. But Damien Harris is a guy there. I mean, he is a guy. There's no question about it. I mean, James White is still there. We know that. JJ Taylor is still there. But Damien Harris is going to get the most carries. He has been with the Patriots for these past 2 years. He's coming into his third year. Patriots still have him. They traded Sony Michel. This guy, Damien Harris, he's a guy. He's a guy. He was drafted in the 3rd round, by the way, a couple years ago. So there you go. And he was starting over Josh Jacobs in Alabama. in case any of you forgot. So that's kind of it. I mean, we could go over some deep sleepers at tight end, but I mean, this is just running back wide receivers. I do want to get into this upcoming game. Uh, sorry, Despicable Me is playing on my TV right now, and I just got distracted by it. Wow. So I'm gonna get off of this screen, and I just want to talk about a few things for this upcoming game. Now, I don't think I even talked about the Buccaneers. For some strange reason, I am just not buying into this Buccaneers deep offense for fantasy. Not because their offense isn't good, their offense is good, but there's just so many mouths to feed in this offense. I don't know if Leonard Fournette is the RB1 in this offense. I don't know if it's Ronald Jones. I think they're trying to split carries with the two. But they also added Giovanni Bernard. Let's not forget. Tom Brady loves his receiving backs. Giovanni Bernard could be his new James White for all we know. Tight end, Rob Gronkowski, OJ Howard. I don't think anybody's drafting either of those guys. Rob Gronkowski down the stretch, he played well in the playoffs, but I'm trying to stay away from everything as far as the receiving core goes. I just don't know who's going to be the guy in each unit. It's just their units are just so stacked. I just want to stay away from it. Except for Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown, for where he's going, 8th, 9th round, you cannot skip out on a guy of his caliber and his talent. And he played well down the stretch. He had a lot of touchdowns, actually, down the stretch in the playoffs at the end of the regular season when he signed there. They started using him a lot more in the red zone, and he started to get a lot more explosive plays. So watch out for Antonio Brown. I think you'd be foolish to say, "Oh, it's Antonio Brown. He's been a nobody for the past 2 years." Blah, blah. You have to take the talent into consider. You have to take talent in consideration when it comes into the late rounds, because that's how you get those picks to hit big. Take talent into account. Don't play it safe in those late rounds. Why would you want to play it safe when they don't cost anything? When those picks don't cost anything. If you want to play it safe, then odds are there's gonna be guys on the waiver wire that you could play it safe with, because those guys, you'll see, they played pretty good, but they're not owned by a team. Oh, well, let me pick this guy up. It's that easy. So get Antonio Brown if at all possible in drafts. No wide receiver talent of this caliber you are getting where you're getting. So, yeah. Cowboys versus Buccaneers. Now, I think the Buccaneers will win easily. I mean, I don't think anybody's arguing this, right? I mean, sure, we haven't seen the Cowboys offense in a year, really, with Dak Prescott coming back. Who knows? Because I do think he was injured in week 4, right? Is that right? Week 4, he faced the Giants. But excuse me. They lost Zach Martin, I saw earlier today, for this game. So that's going to be tough against this Buccaneers. This Buccaneers team is basically the same team as it was last year. They're going to be able to rush the passer because, again, Zach Martin isn't there. Like, there's no way the Cowboys are getting out of that. No way. I'm gonna have to start Zeke this week in my $50 league, but it's gonna be really hard to. It's gonna be really hard to watch. So I do think the Buccaneers will win easy. Things to look out for fantasy wise, I would say. Let's see if Dak. Let's see if Dak gets the ball out early and often in this offense, because we're not really sure what this offense is going to look like, if they're going to, throttle it back and, just give it to Zeke, or if they're gonna use those receivers with Michael Gallup, Amari Cooper, and CeeDee Lamb. And also, who's going to be their tight end? I mean, it's probably going to be Blake Jarwin, right? I mean, they have had him for so many years. They're just they need to do something at tight end. I don't know why they're so content with Blake Jarwin. I don't get it. One other thing I'd watch for: who's going to get the most carries for the Buccaneers? Is it going to be Ronald Jones or is it going to be Leonard Fournette? Now, during the regular season, who looked better? Ronald Jones. But down the stretch, who looked better? During the late regular season and the playoffs, it was Leonard Fournette. So it's really wishy-washy for me and the Buccaneers when it comes to running back at the in that offense. Excuse me. Tom Brady. I mean, should we ask if he will ever slow down? No. I think as long as he plays, he's gonna be fine. He hasn't really declined much over these past 3 years. And well, actually, he improved last year, which I actually think Tom Brady is a great fantasy quarterback option that you can get. What in like this? What's Tom Brady's ADP right now? He's coming off as the ninth quarterback in standard formats. The ninth quarterback, Tom Brady, the greatest of all time, coming off as the ninth quarterback. Now, in this offense, he threw for over 40 touchdowns. Actually, it might have been exactly 40 touchdowns, but 40 touchdowns. 40. And threw for over 4,500 yards, right? I'm not mistaken. I haven't really studied Tom Brady's stats this year. 4,600 yards, 40 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Dude was slinging it. I wouldn't expect the same exact thing. I think his numbers will dip just a little bit, but it's not like gonna like dial all the way back. You know what I mean? Because the run game hasn't changed. Nothing has changed with that Broncos roster. They are in position to win another championship this year. Why would they change anything? We'll see. But that's all I pretty much have for this video. Man, almost approaching 40 minutes. I hope you guys really like this. I enjoy doing this. I actually enjoy doing this more than doing live streams, and it's not because I just like talking to. I like talking on a schedule instead of long pauses, this and that. So let me guys know. Let me know what you guys think about doing videos. All right. See you guys next time.